Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending some time with me and watching the video. Always very grateful for that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about 3 facts about bass that nobody's ever taught you before. This is something you don't read about, you don't hear about or watch in YouTube videos. This is stuff that I have found out, experienced myself personally one-on-one with the bass over the last 50 years. And having an understanding of this really helps you not only catch more fish, but become a better bass angler and understand more about bass moods and personalities. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that has really been helping the channel grow here by clicking that subscribe button. Really appreciate, guys, the people that have done that. If you haven't had a chance, I'd like to invite everybody to subscribe. It's free and easy. You never miss a video. And also, big thank you out there to everybody that's been chipping in to support the channel by using all the links I put in my description, Tackle Warehouse, Solar Bat, all that type of stuff. Really means a lot to me and my family, so really appreciate that. Okay, guys, the 3 facts about bass that nobody's ever told you. Number 1, bass are a lot like people in the fact that they're individuals. Some people are, relating this to people out there, some people tend to be loners more. Some people are semi-social and some people are very social, creatures out there. Bass are no different out there. It's like when you talk about sort of like, you're trying to understand bass movement and behavior and seasonal patterns. One of the things you can't do is you can't lump all the bass like in some type of collective consciousness. Bass are individuals. They really are. They do their own thing, each one of them. And that's one of the mysteries in fishing. We don't really know why one bass chooses to live its life in 3 foot of water next to a lay down log, and the other bass chooses to roam out there in open water over 100 foot of water. They're still bass, but they still make a decision to live in different places and act in different situations out there. So understanding that, that really gives you a foundation on not to get locked into like traditional aspects of trying to locate and find bass. One of the things I found out about bass, guys, I can tell you, when people ask about, how do you find bass, and they ask questions about bass fishing, you find bass where they're at. And a lot of times it doesn't make any sense for them to be in a certain area out there. I'll give you guys a prime example out there. I was fishing, here's what I'm talking about as far as you never know, they're where they're at. I was fishing that FLW tournament, that MLF tournament at Kentucky Lake a couple weeks ago. And anyway, I was catching them. There was this one area I was fishing. It was the end of this really long concrete wall. And at the end of this concrete wall, there was like a little rock pile out there. And I was catching some fish on this little group of rocks at the end of this rock wall. And the rock wall out there was a concrete wall, like a barge tie-up type of thing. And my co-angler didn't have anywhere to cast except for down the side of this big concrete wall that was 30 or 40 foot deep. So he threw out a rattle trap and let the thing sink to the bottom in 40 foot of water there at Kentucky Lake and started reeling it slow and caught a 3-pound smallmouth on a rattle trap 40 feet deep next to a concrete wall. I never would have thought in a million years that the fish would be there, but again, the fish are where they're at. So from that standpoint, always keep that in mind there. Next one is, guys, is that a lot of people, one of my pet peeves in bass fishing is when people say that bass are stupid and they have a little pea brain on them. And, a lot of people say, don't give bass, too much credit for being, smart and analyzing baits and that type of stuff. And they really sort of like it's an insult to the bass. Guys, bass are incredibly intelligent people. And if you want to measure intelligence, it's like, think for example, if there was a group of bass down there and they're talking about humans, they could say something like this, like, those human beings are the most stupid creatures on this planet. It's like, what kind of creature would do something that destroys their own planet? It's like we pollute our planet, we degrade it, we overpopulate it, we do things to endanger the very survivability of our species by how we treat our planet. A bass could say the same thing about us. It's like we're so stupid for starting wars and, like I said, degrading our planet. Daddy, so when you talk about...
Daddy, can I go play with the neighbors?
If they're over there, you can.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They're with friends. No.
Okay, well, go ask them if you can, real nice, okay? So anyway, guys, don't don't underestimate how smart and intelligent a bass is, because one of the things I've always talked about in this channel is the largemouth bass lineage has been on this planet for over 3 million years. And any species on this planet that has survived for millions of years are incredibly adaptive and incredibly intelligent creatures out there in their own environment. Bass are masters of their environment, and they can adapt and they can adjust to a wide range of conditions, and they have an innate intelligence that we cannot appreciate. We try to intellectualize a fish's intelligence based upon what we equate as intelligence, and it's not the same thing. They are geniuses and they are brilliant in their own way, and that deserves respect. So I've always said that I think human beings are some of the most ignorant creatures on this planet for different things we do and how destructive we are. So when somebody says that, it's bass are stupid and pea brain, that's really a pet peeve with that. And the last one, guys, the third one of the biggest things that is just sort of a misnomer out there is that bass feed and they bite lures because they're hungry. It's been my experience in bass fishing out there that most of the fish you catch from a bass and most of the strikes that are generated from fish are not because those fish are hungry. I think the majority of bass feed at night. And I don't care what time of year it is, what the water temperature is, I'm convinced that most of the feeding, the actively feeding, where they're hunting and looking for fish and forage or whatever, goes on at night. Now they're opportunistic, don't get me wrong. If they see something they think they can get a meal, sometimes they'll hit it. But as far as in terms of actually generating a bite, generating a strike from the fish during the daylight hours, there's other factors out there far more important. Things like, reaction elements out there, curiosity, anger, competition. In my opinion out there, the number one thing that causes fish to react to a lure is some type of reaction strike. That's why your baits, your reaction lures, like your jerk baits and your crank baits and spinner baits and things that move horizontally through the water column have been, productive for so many years. Now, obviously bass there's different moods they get into. So sometimes they want a slow bait, sometimes they want a fast bait. But it's my, theory that it's not because of those fish, are hungry out there. That's why little adjustments like the adjustment within the color change that you have, or the speed to retrieve, or the type of lure manipulation, the cadence that you put, all that type of stuff generates strike from a reaction point of view. Prime example is a jerkbait. When you're talking about the cadence and the speed to retrieve that you use on your jerkbait, that all has to do a lot of times with a lot of different variables out there, different aspects of the metabolism of the fish, different weather conditions. And that speed to retrieve and that cadence is not because those fish are hungry. You're generating some type of reaction strike by manipulating and figuring out that cadence and retrieve and different type of colors and profiles. So anyway, guys, that's just three things that come to the top of my mind out there. One of the things I really appreciate about bass fishing is I love the mystery of it. I don't ever want to know everything. That's one of the reasons I rail against technology so much, is because technology takes away that aspect of the unknown and the mysterious. And for me, that is one of the most powerful aspects of fishing in general, is just you don't really know what's out there. And you don't want to know what's out there. You don't want to know what's out there. Just like you don't want to know what's the present is underneath your Christmas tree before Christmas morning out there. It ruins everything if you know everything. Same with bass fishing on that. So anyway, guys, just a few thoughts with that. Hope you guys are well. We'll talk later. See you.